In order to 100% Hydroneer, I'll need to create a cataclysmic mine that automatically strips the entire world of its precious ore, generating hundreds, no thousands, no millions of pounds of gold ore every second until I become filthy, stinking rich. But it wasn't just minerals, as soon I'd move on to creating an automated food factory, hunting down the rarest fish in the game, unearthing 1,000-year-old relics, and a whole lot of other ungodly nonsense. Until my automated factory would break the very fabric of the game's frame rate with all the resources I was producing. But in order to get there, I'll have to start out with this meager little bucket and my tiny little shovel. I can use the shovel to fill up my bucket with dirt. Then I can take my dirt bucket and drop it into this pan I filled with water. Now all that was left was to pick up the brush and see what I had found. Get shining. I dropped the brush. Get shining. Whoa! We got some gold, baby! Oh no, my gold! After moving the gold and iron ore I had mined out over to a safer location, it was time to start the whole process over again. We're putting dirt in a bucket. We're putting dirt in a bucket. Dirt goes in the bucket all day. Then I pour it right there. Then I brush it like this. I dropped the brush again. Yes, for now, I was just doing this. Over and over and over again. It was some riveting stuff, but after around 10 minutes of mining, I had found a good amount of ore, so I gather everything up and head down to the jeweler where I can take all my hard-earned ore. That's it? Just 83 coin? What? That was a lot! That's all you got for me? All you got is 83 cents for me, bro? Ridiculous behavior. Yeah, if I wanted some real profits, then we were going to need to expand our operation. So I take my precious 83 cents and head over to the general store. Here, I can pick up a ton more buckets and pans. In fact, so many that I'm left with just 3 cents. I throw all my buckets over into my mule cart and lug it back over to the river. Now I can fill up all 6 of my dirt buckets at once, then pour them into 6 different pans. I'm definitely moving faster this way, but you know, I'm still individually filling up 6 different buckets, pouring them into 6 different pans. This process is painfully slow. But I have dreams that if we keep this up, one day we'll be mining out thousands of pounds of ore, hoarding wealth like a medieval dragon or a procrastinating YouTuber who just uploaded their end of the month sponsor deadlines. I did get a tip from one of the shop workers that the deeper you dig, the rarer the resources will be, so I make a point to keep digging in the same hole to try and reach the good dirt. And this philosophy ends up paying off in spades. Some rubies in there. What the heck is that? That seems rare. What is that? Shard. Mysterious crystal shard used to power water pressure tanks. Okay, I'm gonna save this for later. Put that right there. Then there's a couple rare things in here. Yeah. This is core stone ore. Negative core stone can be melted in a crucible into a bar or sold to the jeweler. Okay, I'm gonna keep that because it seems rare. Yes, the dig deeper mantra seems to be paying off as the dirt down there not only had rare resources, but also just more resources, with each brush containing way more gold and iron. Now I've got a huge haul, so surely the money should come pouring in. That's it. Dude, that was so much gold. You only have 180 for me? Well, I did admittedly have a lot of ore there. The main problem was that it was completely unrefined ore, which meant it was time to start processing my ore into bars. So for this, I grabbed myself a small furnace, a crucible, and a casting mold. I also picked up a bed, as this game follows the mantra of all survival games that night is just way too dark. But you know what else is way too dark? The underground dungeon you're gonna be thrown into if you don't subscribe to my channel. So do it. Subscribe already. I place down my bed back at my home base in Ember's Cradle and get my first achievement for sleeping through a night. I place down my furnace and my crucible, but in order to utilize them, first I need to scoop out some dirt. Then, once I brush through a whole batch, I separate out all my ore and throw all my iron ore into the crucible that sits upon my furnace. From there, I can just pick up the smoldering hot crucible? How is the crucible hot enough to melt iron, but not hot enough to even slightly inconvenience our character? Well, probably because he's using the sponsor of today's episode, our kitchen oven mitts. No, I could never get a sponsor from an oven mitts brand. Everybody knows my audience can barely make a microwavable meal. But I could get one from the actual sponsor of today's 100%, NIKKI. If you're interested in relaxing and cozy games where you can go fishing, bug catching, animal grooming, or maybe just exploring, then NIKKI is the perfect game for you. The game follows NIKKI and Momo traveling across the fantastic nations of Maryland, collecting NIKKI's powerful outfits to better assist you. Want to float over to this platform? Try equipping NIKKI's floating outfit. Want to shrink down to the size of a pea? Try equipping NIKKI's shrinking outfit. She's got anything you could possibly need to explore the wonderful landscapes throughout her world. And NIKKI just had their 1.5 update, which introduces a ton of new features, including 2-player online co-op. Here you can teleport to a friend to hold hands, take photos, or maybe explore the open world as well as the magical new Sea of Stars. The Sea of Stars is a large public zone filled with tons of interactive features specifically made for co-op gameplay. Explore the beautiful scenery side by side with your friend. And right now there's a limited bubble season event that covers the new Serenity Island area in bubbles. Try riding the bubble gondola or grab the new water column outfit to be able to reach new heights you never could before. The update also includes 2 stunning limited edition 5-star outfits, plus up to 5 outfits that you can collect for absolutely free. You can also get up to 100 pulls for free by just logging in and completing the events. The 1.5 update even introduced the dyeing system where you can now dye parts of your outfits to whatever style fits you best. If journeying around with Infinity Nikki and your friends sounds fun to you, then you're in luck, as the game has just launched on Steam, so it's easier than ever to embark on this journey now. Make sure to check out the link down below to download Infinity Nikki, and thanks to Infold Games for sponsoring this video. I take the crucible and pour all the combined iron into the casting molds, giving me a single iron bar. I do the same thing with my gold ore, and then sell all the bars to the jeweler. These sell for 118 gold, which still isn't a lot, but for a single batch of ore, that's a huge improvement. I can use this capital to buy myself a second furnace, now giving me 1 for iron and 1 for gold. I try to go deep down into this little hole I made to get even rarer resources when I'm hit with a bit of a quandary. Does dirt remember? Like, I can fit my buckets inside this tiny hole I made. So if I dig the dirt up and place it on this phallic-looking dirt rod I made, and then place it into the buckets, will the dirt remember where it's from? Or will it now become surface dirt? What are the dirt laws? For my refining strategy this time, I decided to just insert the ore into the crucible one by one. This way, I'll get a ton more bars for me to sell at the jewelers. A moment that will single-handedly frustrate a myriad of people, all of whom have never played this game themselves, but one time watched a Let's Game It Out video on it. But the many bars project proves to be a huge failure despite the multitude of bars I can smell, only selling for a measly 174 coins. On the bright side, it does let me buy an anvil, a blacksmithing hammer, and a grinding wheel. I can also buy a ton of concrete floors to place on the ground, which I can throw into the back of this hydro truck that I was apparently given for free. By placing down the concrete floors, I can give myself the basic framework of a workstation instead of just shoddily throwing everything across the floor now. I mean, look at how cute my pans look all lined up together now. Still not understanding a central mechanic to this game, I once again use my ore to create as many bars as possible. On the bright side though, I can now further refine these using the anvil. After getting the bars hot by placing them in the furnace, I can then put them into the anvil. If I combine this with some of the gems I found that I can now cut on the grinding table, I can combine 2 bars and 1 emerald into one beautiful gold necklace. I go through and do this with all the gems and bars that I have until I run out of gems. After that, I can combine these 3 bars into a mighty sword. I also happen to find 2 of the rare ore clotnium, so I forged those into an axe as well. I sell off the clotnium axe first, which gives me a whopping 367 coins. As for the rest of my weapons and jewelry, I try adding them to the table one by one to get to the bottom of their exact sell price. And what's weird is that even iron swords, which are made of the exact same materials, for some reason sell for completely different amounts. Clearly, I've got much to learn about this game, but on the bright side, all of my forging did wonders, and I can get to walk away with over 700 gold. I used my capital to pick up a pickaxe, a saw, and a mining helmet. Now, the pickaxe is vastly more useful for digging around than the shovel was, as instead of having to drop the dirt you removed somewhere, it just disappears into the ether. Using this combined with my new mining helmet for light, I can tunnel deep into the ground. They say that resources get rarer the lower you go. What happens if we go as low as we can possibly go? After around 20 minutes of digging, I do end up hitting a wall, so I move my mining operation down there. Only there's one problem. Now going back up the river and down into the mine over and over again to fill my pan is taking forever, which meant that it was now time to buy some pipes. Like a lot of them. Like so many pipes. Luckily, these things are dirt cheap, so I'm easily able to afford it. From here, I can place an intake pipe by the river and then connect a series of pipes all the way down into my cave. Now that the water is piped down there, it continually drips down, allowing me to fill up my pan constantly. I also realized that even if you have resources already in the pan, you can continually fill up the pan with water and dirt to uncover more resources, as opposed to needing to empty the pan out. So now my operation was just to fill up my bucket with dirt, dump the dirt into the water-filled pan, brush out the dirt, I'd get the resources, and then the pipe would once again fill the pan. This allowed me to go a ton faster than I was able to previously, going through tons and tons of dirt at a time. And after just a little bit of this,
look at all that stuff. Wait, look at how big some of these chunks are. Look at that chunk of gold. Oh, we're hitting the jackpot now, baby.
But it's not all fun and whimsy, as now I had everything in one pan. I needed to go through the painstaking process of manually sorting it all. Now, you may be wondering, why am I sorting through all the ore? Wasn't I just putting each individual piece into the crucible before? And while yes, I used to be under the impression that that was the best strategy, one of the townsfolk actually told me that the most important thing when selling my resources is not quantity, but weight. Yes, each piece of iron ore has a distinct weight based on where you mined it up from. And if you throw that all into the crucible together, it combines those weights and
then pour in there.
Ooh, that's a big bar.
That is a giant bar. Oh my lord, that is a big bar. Oh my god.
That's a big gold bar too.
Emerald. Giant gold bar. Giant silver bar. Give me that. Boom. Oh, that's got to be worth a fortune. I want the cash money, cash money, cash money, cash money. The giant gold and giant iron all this time.
3,000
1,000. Oh my god. Look at all my riches. Oh my god. We are so back. Barely even fits in the pan. Oh my god, we're so back. The weight is everything. I take my riches and buy myself some hand sorters and then stroll around looking for what I should spend the majority on before finding a special vendor. He's over by the side and had exactly one single iron drill and one single iron harvester, but no additional ones for me to purchase. I buy out each and take them over to my base. But as the game's name implies, they're gonna need to be powered by water. So I set up another intake pipe as well as a little T-conjunction here. This layout specifically allows for water to flow both to the drill and the harvester as well as the drill dispense into the harvester. Then I just have to shovel some more dirt underneath the drill and boom, the dirt mines up dirt chunks and spits it out its top. Those chunks then fall into the harvester who processes it and then spits out the ore at its bottom. Now mining has been completely automated for me. Now given this is not only on the surface, but since there's only one, it's pretty slow, but it absolutely does work for now. I place a pan at the bottom to catch all the ore and decide while the drill is working its magic, I need to actually build out a base here. And in order to do that, I'm gonna need some concrete floors, which luckily only cost 5 coins per floor. I also pick up some water filter hooks, as I'll need to attach these to the pipes pumping water to my drills. The water that I pump directly from the ground is unclean and may damage my iron drills. And so each water filter hook I add to the pipes before the water reaches the drill purifies the water by 20%, meaning I need 5 water filter hooks to prevent any damage to my drill. Onto the base building now, and I can't really find anywhere with a ton of space to start building, so I decide to just build directly onto the water behind my drill. I end up building so far that it ends up being like a bridge across the water to the other side. With that set, I can start placing down my hand sorters. These will allow me to dump my pan of completely unsorted ores and have only gold ones in one pan. Place a little piece of gold ore in the holding bay and then pour in a test batch and nothing happens. Yeah, it turns out that these guys actually need to be hooked up to a water source in order to run, which yeah, I really should have guessed that. The game ain't called It Just Works So Near. That's like the worst joke in any one of my videos. That's so genuinely awful. Like Yo Gabba Gabba-esque joke. Luckily, since this is built right onto the water, I can place it on the edge and place the intake pipe directly into the hand sorter. With that successfully set up, it was time to test out the hand sorter on everything the drill had been producing. Whoa, my god. Oh, that one was not in a good spot. Okay, that's gonna be fun to sort out. Yeah, my output pan of where the non-sorted ores goes was slightly in the wrong spot, so now I gotta spend the next 7 minutes just doing this. Riveting stuff, guys. Once I finished sorting that, I went back to my iron drill pipe and noticed that my water filter hook was sparking, which had shut down the entire mining process. In order to get the filter hook fixed and the operation running again, I needed to head to the drill store and purchase myself a repair kit. This can be used to completely repair the durability of any item and luckily has 5 uses in it. With that handled, it was time to set up more water intake pipes and more hand sorters to sort out the rest of the resources that our lovely drill has been digging up. Okay, here we go. Please tell me this works this time. Yes, nice. With all the sorters now set up for gold, iron, shards, and gems, I could place down some furnaces, crucibles, and anvils to begin processing our ores. But before that, it looks like our farm had gotten a new friend. That out. Oh, this guy's stuck here. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm just mooching about. Yep, you're gonna be mooching there for life, I guess. No idea how he ended up here, but there is absolutely no way he's getting out of that hole, so I guess we're just gonna have to accept Hole Man. Now, I had another batch of ore to process, and after a whole hour of work, it was a big one. That slowed down our game so much. After sorting through the rest of my ores, it was time to finally refine these babies, and my god, the liquid it turns into the crucible is just massive. This is sure to be a huge payout. I turn the gold and iron into bars and then combine them into a necklace with a single sapphire. These are pretty heavy bars. This has got to convert pretty big, right? That's our necklace. All right. This is what we put our everything into. Please tell me this sells for good. For good, big profit. Place it on the table. Oh my god, it was so worth it. Oh, 8 grand. Oh my god, mountains and mountains of cash. Oh my god, we're rich. We're so rich. There's a graveyard. Take my money to the graveyard. Haha, you all died poor and I'm rich. Sucks to suck, bro. What can I use all this money on? I don't want any of this stuff. Fish bucket. There's got to be more stuff to spend all my valuable hard-earned dollars on. Where can I spend my gold? I explore around a bit more and find that there's way more to this game's map than I thought. I originally thought it was literally just this small town, but it turns out there's a ton more to explore. So I chuck my coins into the back of my truck and get to exploring the great unknown. Okay, there's another dig site over here. Oh, Milder's Aquifer for sale. How much does it cost? Buy this beautiful land for just 970. It's not bad, but there's no water. Who would want to buy this? There's no water here. Aquifer. Oh, wait, maybe since it's an aquifer, there's like water underneath. If you dig, there's water. Grangefield. What's up with Grangefield? Whoa, what's here? The heck is this? Hydrocropper. Farming utility vehicle. There's farming in this game?
I only accept guild tokens.
Well, I only have guild tokens, and I didn't remember asking you a goddamn thing. I guess I can farm if I am so inclined, which I'm kind of not. I kind of like the whole, money thing I got going on. What do you have? Cooking pot, stove. Boring. I'm not doing any of this farming crap. Did enough farming in my Stardew days, honestly. And honestly, I probably did too much farming then. South Hope. How much does this one sell for? 6,600. Jeez. There's a volcano back there. What the heck? Bridgeport. Historic mining town. Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Mining. Let's go. Vehicles.
While looking at the vehicles, I get an achievement for producing 1,000 dirt from drills. But back to the vehicle store, they've got a hydro quad, which is faster than my hydro truck, but can hold a lot less. Then we've got the hydro roller, which can be used for flattening the ground. But the real one I'm interested in is the Hydro Truck 2, which is a superior version to my current hydro truck.
Scrapyard. What the who? The Pang Clang Brothers. That is a hilarious name. What is going on here? What words are you saying to me? Okay, Conveyor Nation. Whoa, you can get conveyor belts? Hooks onto pipes, move resources. Oh, this is about to get so complicated.
Little did I know how right I was, as this game was about to push me to the very limits of my brain. But for now, I buy myself a Hydro Truck Mark II, drive back to Ember's Cradle. Here, I can use my newly purchased construction hammer to lock every piece of furniture into place, as before this, I was constantly picking up floors. Dear God, it was so annoying. I tried to not complain about it before, but the construction hammer single-handedly makes this game like 10,000 times more playable. The true biggest issue I keep running into is that my water filter hooks are constantly getting broken, and once one breaks, the entire operation of course shuts down. I mean, even in just those 15 minutes I was exploring the rest of the map, I already had to fix several of my hooks. It's the biggest impedance on my pipeline currently. Also, the fact that I am constantly placing the pan underneath the extractor in the slightest wrong spot, meaning that I've got to then go back and individually pick up every piece of ore. But after doing that, I can process another load of big iron and gold bars. Unfortunately, I don't currently have a way of combining any gems, so I'll just have to go with regular old emerald for now. This ends up selling for another good 5,000 coins. With my new capital grabbed, I decide to explore around further. Here I find a totally unique shop selling tons of late game items, including tier 3 tools. And seeing as I'm currently only using tier 1 tools, that's a huge and worth it upgrade. I go to buy them though, and despite having enough coins, I'm completely unable to buy them. That's because this shop uses guild tokens, a completely different currency to the hydro coins I had been using. The way you get these is by using real world money. No, but seriously, can you imagine? No, for real, it won't be a while until we can earn these, as you'll have to fulfill requests from the townsfolk in order to earn them. I continue exploring around and eventually stumble onto an extremely strange part of the map.
Oh god. I hope to god there's no fall damage. Oh, there's not. Okay. What the heck is this? What the heck am I looking at? Does the game have dungeons? What's going on? There's like a giant anvil. What is going on? I don't know. Car go there. I'm sorry, what? This is saying, I don't know what any of this means. Okay, I'll need to come back here later because I have no idea what's going on. And I'm very confused and honestly a little scared. Tools and equipment. Who are you? Can you explain anything? I would love to. I don't know what the heck is going on. Oh, it's a tier 2 shovel now. Cool, and this costs C.
This area is called the Ice Helm Forge, and while it's not super useful to us right now, later on this is going to be incredibly crucial to earning some of the endgame machines. As in the shop, there are these things called masterwork designs that will let me forge new machines, including drills and harvesters. I purchased a new set of tier 2 tools, as well as the iron masterwork designs, and then leave. Outside the forge, there's another shop, this one with a bunch of furniture. And here I can purchase a bunch of staircases, which will be perfect as I need to start digging deeper. And to start digging deeper, I decide it's time to buy myself a much bigger plot of land that I can expand out on and really optimize. I decide on Shrek's Quarry, as while it isn't my favorite site, it seems large enough to get me started out, and then when I want to build my endgame base, I can head to one of the more desirable locations. And that definitely happens, because something that seems like I would do with my terrible base decorating skills is not just make one base, but 2.
Oh, love this is mine!
With the plot purchased, it was time to get digging. Like I said earlier, the deeper you dig down, the more resources you'll get, so my goal for this tunnel is to go as far down as iron drills are able to work on. Before I get to work on that, I've got to ensure my drill is working, which of course it is not, as the filter hooks are broken. After fixing that, I take all of my available ore from the drill, but I am only really concerned with iron for now. That's because after forming it into a bar, I can take it back to Dreck's quarry and weigh it on my newly purchased scale. In order to get a second iron drill, we're going to need an iron bar with the weight of a whopping 300, which is why it's such a disappointment to see my current iron bar weighs in at just 43 pounds. Oh yeah, we've got a while to go here, which honestly works out pretty well, as I've got a while to wait and a while to dig. And so I dig to the bottom of the tier 1 barrier, placing staircases whenever I have the room for them. The digging process is incredibly slow and yet somewhat relaxing, just whittling away at the dirt ever so slowly. Yeah, dirt, it's okay, you can go away. I keep this up for a bit and my mind starts to wander. How far is it to the bottom? Is it even possible to get down there? What's waiting for me at the end of this tunnel? What's waiting for me at the end of life? Will I be proud of what I've done? Is my father proud of me?
Okay, that's enough thinking. Time to slap an eye patch wolf video on the second monitor.
After a while of digging, I eventually get to the point where my tier 1 pickaxe isn't able to mine out any further. I clear out some space with my tier 2 pick and then continue clearing out on the bottom level of tier 1 dirt. I also placed this stone floor I bought on that layer so I remember exactly where I need to be building. In the hour it's taken me to dig down there, my mine has managed to produce an iron bar that's 213 pounds. So combined with my other bar, we just need 50 more pounds of iron ore. I melt the gold into a bar, but since I'm saving my iron for this drill, instead of combining the gold with the iron, I instead take my saw and chop our gold bar in half and use that for my new necklace. Even without the iron, this necklace ends up weighing in at 4,000 coins, meaning if I had used all the iron I mined, it would have been my biggest sell yet. With that sorted, it was time to start building my mine shaft into the Dreck's quarry. And to do that, I was gonna need some conveyor belts. Lots of conveyor belts. My plan was to have the resources mined come all the way from down at the bottom of the tier 1 dirt, all the way up to the surface, which is quite the journey, so I get as many belts as I possibly can. I mean, look at the back of my hydro truck. Yes, luckily the hydro truck has infinite storage, kinda. Like, you kinda gotta, like, jump around and finagle something before you place it down. But I can't just place down conveyor belts, as they need to be powered on by water, of course, so I'm gonna need tons of pipes as well. But while carrying my giant haul of items home, something strange happens.
Uh-oh, this thing needs to be refilled? That's not good. How do I do that? How was I supposed to know that?
So now I gotta walk all the way back to base, grab a water pan, fill it up, and then walk all the way back to my truck. But then once I arrive, a totally new issue arises. Where the heck do I refill this thing? I find this red bar looking thing that kinda looks like a gas tank, so I decide to pour my pan on it.
Did that work? Nope, that did not work.
Yeah, that could not have been more wrong. So I gotta grab my pan, walk all the way back, fill it again, and then walk back again. I look around the truck this time before finally deciding to get on top of the thing, where I find a little chamber-looking hole that I, on a whim, splash my water onto. Luckily, this ends up being the fuel tank, and I can drive my truck off again. This game really is testing the limits of, is Shawnee stupid, or is this game really confusing? Irregardless, now back at base, I can start placing down pipes. My goal is to have the pipes reach the little hole that I've been digging out at the end of the tier 1 dirt. So I build this curvy little pipe contraption that I then stretch out forwards. From then I go down to the cavern floor and dig straight upwards and start placing vertical pipes. I gotta then search through the dirt to find where exactly it's coming up from. After a bit of guess and check work, I managed to find my underground tower of pipes and can successfully connect it to my line coming from the water source. In order to do that, we're gonna need more pipes, which is where one of the true saviors of this run comes in, the pallet. The pallet allows you to no longer have to just individually stack things inside your truck one by one, but instead stack them all into a pallet and then just individually lift up the pallet. This is a really good system because it saves time usually, but there is one slight flaw with it.
Oh, I forgot to freaking buy it. Oh, I'm a moron.
So as long as you actually pay for the things on the pallet, you should be good. After rebuying those pipes, I can finally connect my 2 pipe systems, except I run into one small problem.
I would be the type of person to be one off. You must be joking.
After rectifying my pipe system, it was time to head back to the Ice Helm 4, as I had now gathered 450 pounds worth of iron bars. I go down to the anvil, place down my iron drill masterwork design on the pedestal, and then throw my 300-pound iron bar into the cauldron.
And then I just pull the lever. Whoa, what's going on? Okay, this seems good. Oh, this seems good. Now what? Oh, they have change. Where's my drill? Oh, it's right there. Oh, I didn't see you there, drill.
Yes, the magic anvil allowed me to produce my second ever iron drill, which meant I could finally start building the structure of my new Dreck's quarry mine. I place it down in my cave, but run into some issues, as the tier 2 dirt is not the only thing we need to avoid down here. For whatever reason, there's this like unminable barrier thing that like jets out from the water source. Why? I have no idea, but it made building this area like 10 times more difficult. I finally get the drill in a good spot and decide to test out its location. Well, that doesn't sound good at all. My first thought is, okay, maybe it's because the water pressure going to the drill was too low. And when I put a pressure gauge onto the pipe connected to the drill, it does actually seem like that was a problem as the pressure is reading at 0. I can fix this problem by placing a pressure chamber next to the drill and then placing a shard bar inside. The weight of the shard bar increases the pressure at that point, but doesn't surpass the pressure of the intake pipe. This does fix a problem as the pressure going to the drill is now 94, but it doesn't fix the problem as the drill still doesn't mind. My next thought is that maybe the issue is that there are no water filter hooks on the pipe. So I place those on and still the drill don't work. I think, okay, maybe there's just not enough dirt underneath the drill. Nope, still no mining's happening. Eventually I realized the true reason that none of this is working. You see, I had built my drill at the very barrier of the tier 1 and tier 2 soil, which means that even though we were still technically in the tier 1 zone, the drill was attempting to dig into the tier 2 dirt. That means that in order for this drill to work, I gotta bring up an entire block. After moving it and my pipe system,
Okay, it works now.
with the drill now working, it was time to set up the conveyor system, and oh boy is that one complicated. You need water to flow through every single belt, but also onto the next belt. So figuring out how certain pieces fit together is a logistical nightmare. I eventually get the base horizontal belts working, but things are complicated even further upon introducing the vertical conveyors. While a horizontal conveyor just needs water flowing through them, a vertical one can only operate with a T-pipe. This is because the vertical conveyor has a little spout that the water needs to flow into. Unlike the horizontal belts, this blocks water flow, meaning you have to get creative in the way you connect it to the next vertical belt. Eventually, I get a good system of T-pipes connected to a curved pipe and so on, but I of course run into several problems. The first of which is that the vertical conveyors cross so much horizontal distance that I end up hitting the water lake wall. This means I can't build any more vertical conveyors and thusly need to replace everything and start the entire placing process over again. So I dig out a small tunnel and extend my pipe system further in and place the drill deep in there. What's really helpful when building in the caverns is the rake tool. This flattens the ground to a certain depth, making it not only look a lot nicer, but also a lot easier to add dirt onto something. After fiddling around with the setup for a long time, I realized I'd completely forgotten to put an extractor into the pipeline, so I head to the Icehelm Forge with a 100-pound iron bar and produce one. While I'm here in Icehelm, I figure I might as well pick up some stone floors as well to make base building a little easier. Back at base, I place a conveyor belt in front of the iron drill, which then flows into the extractor. Only problem I run into is that there's no corner pipe, which is going to affect me several times throughout this setup. Instead, I need to use my tier 2 tools to dig through the bottom dirt and connect a downwards T-pipe to a curved one, and then to another forward-facing curved pipe. This lets me place another conveyor belt in front of the extractor to catch its now processed ore and start carrying it upwards. After a good long while of rearranging pipes and building upwards, hours after I began this process, it was time to finally put it all to the test.
Okay. If this works, this will all have been for good. And if it doesn't, this will all have been for naught. Okay, clunks out of here. Goes into the extractor. Comes out ore. Okay, that part works. Up here. Up through here. Up through these. Please make it all the way to the top. Why isn't this one not turning on? Why isn't this one turning on? Oh, God. Why aren't they turning on? Looks like I messed something up. No! Oh, maybe the water pressure is too low. Oh. 'Cause it does look like it's moving just really slowly. But look how fast it's moving down here. It's always something with you guys, isn't it?
With the water pressure being the problem, I need to slip in one of those water pressure tanks, which is a lot easier than it sounds since my current setup doesn't really use straight pipes at all during the vertical setup. Eventually, I figure out a way to incorporate one in by doing this like little off-ramp section here that goes forwards and backwards and whatever, it's like a whole thing. All that matters is that the belts are finally starting to flow, which means I can start putting in auto-sorting belts. These are incredibly useful as they act as a conveyor belt and sorter, sorting out whatever resource you place at the top and sending them down a separate path. After building out another water pressure tank, I finalized a sorter design where the separate path goes to 2 conveyor belts and then drops into an auto smelter, which is like a furnace, crucible, and bar mold all molded into one. I end up setting up 4 of these sorters. One for iron, gold, shards, and cloutnium. I'll need to set up some for gems as well, but I'm pretty short on funds right now, seeing as gem automation is pretty expensive. I've planned out a big area around where the resources are falling into, so set that up as my main base of operations. Even though the setup is not fully complete, I decide to just get it running as I am in desperate need for some capital to purchase the rest of the things required for my little factory. I even take my other drill from the old setup in Ember's Cradle and add a second drill into the mix. While this still isn't fully operational, it gives me enough ore to make a little necklace to buy some basic supplies, like this logic gem compressor that'll allow me to compress all of those gems we've been mining up, or placing some much needed corks in the open pipes around the factory. And just 30 minutes after letting this new setup run, I've smelted an iron bar weighing 1,000 pounds. Even just getting to 300 took me hours in my old Ember's Cradle setup. I take the 300 pounds of gold ore I managed to mine up and combine it with 25 pounds of cloutnium. Holy crap!
It's a lot of money.
Yes, in just a few minutes, I had earned all the money I needed to keep this setup going. I buy some nice floors to give this workshop area some uniformity, and then use the rest to finally start tackling the gems. For the 3 gem types, I'll need 3 sorters, a gem polisher hook, and 3 logic gem compressors. After expanding the flattened area and placing down some more floors, I finally got enough space to set this up. The gem hook clips right onto the conveyor belt, and when gems pass through, they're automatically cut, no more using a gem cutter. Then I can set up my logic gem compressors. These require 2 energy sources though, water and something called logic. On the outside, logic sounds incredibly complicated, but all it really comes down to is something that either turns something on or turns it off. And once I turn on the gem compressor, all the gems that fall in there can compress into one giant gem. After setting up one for each of the 3 gems, it was time to process all the gems that I had mined up while setting this all up.
Here we go. Uh-oh, this is gonna brick my computer. Oh, is the game gonna crash? It might. Oh, no. Okay, it didn't. Oh my god, that's so many gems. Oh my god. Dear Lord. Pressed 100 gems already, dang. Look at that. Look at all those onyxes. Oh, and I forgot to... Oh, yeah, I forgot to put a conveyor belt there. Well, that feels pretty bad. Oh, that's gonna be fun to pick up. Oh boy, oh joyous day. Lucky me.
After picking up all of those rubies, it was time to take the 1,200-pound iron bar I had brewed back over to the Ice Helm Forge. I used it to make 4 additional iron drills that I then had to very carefully carry back to my truck using the tiny eye hole that happened to form between the spaces of the drills. It's a tightrope walk completely blind. There's no enemies in this game, but the walk from the giant anvil to home is perhaps the scariest aspect in the entire game. Once I get home, I set up the drills, and to start placing them on the other side, I need to place down this like wraparound pipe setup, but now water can flow on both sides. But with that, all 6 of my drills are successfully working. I make sure the pressure tank is as close as possible to all of them, as the higher the water pressure flowing to a drill, the faster it'll mine. My automated factory was finally completed, mining hundreds of ores from the tier 1 dirt every single second. It was truly incredible. I take a little time to hollow out this area around my drills to make accessing them easier, and after just a few moments, I had already produced an iron bar weighing 3,000 pounds. I was entering the big leagues now. But despite my factory now operating at peak efficiency, this still didn't satisfy me. I wanted more. More! The ore must flow. I take hours hollowing out huge sections behind my drills, as I needed to make space for more to be placed down. I also realized that there was a 4th type of gem that I didn't notice before because it was so rare. Onyx. Well, I didn't have enough currently. I was determined to one day make the perfect necklace with a shining onyx in the middle, making me millions. But for now, I take my 5,000-pound gold bar, split it into 2, and combine it with a 30-pound emerald to forge my heaviest necklace thus far. This would be the necklace that would turn me into some lowly commoner with a couple conveyor belts to the oil baron wealth hoarder I had always dreamed of.
How much you got for me, buddy?
Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm rich! Oh my god, I'm rich! Sweet lord! Oh my god! Oh my god! That's almost 200,000 hydro coins. Oh my god, I'm rich. I'm rich. I'm actually loaded. I'm infinite money. Holy crap. 180,000. That was me trying to do the Tim Allen noise. I really think it came across well. Well, we gotta get to the anvil stat, because imagine if we were doing like quintuple that. That would be insane. And take it to the Ice Helm Forge I did, as I take every last ounce of iron I had there and pumped out as many iron drills as I possibly could. It was just throw in the iron bar, make 4 drills, put the 4 drills on my pallet, and then carry them all the way over to the long corridor into the elevator, and then load them into my truck. Over and over and over and over again. It takes me a full 45 minutes to print and load all these guys. And there's definitely no faster way to do this that probably would have taken me 5 minutes in total. By the end of it, I ended up with over 30 new iron drills. Luckily, I had hollowed out so much space for the drills that I could just place them willy-nilly down into the mine. I put down enough until they've like doubled my production and then set my eyes on a more immediate task screaming in my face. See, despite all this efficiency, all this production, one tiny little detail still kept halting the entire process. My water filter hooks. These were still constantly breaking, and unless I was there to repair them, it would stop all of my production. I needed to create a way to automate this process. And there is a way, using logic. Now, while I explained earlier that logic isn't really all that complicated, the things you can do with logic are incredibly complicated. I don't understand them at all, and I would not like to. So instead, I just looked up what some guy on Reddit did and copied their build. I'm gonna try and explain what's going on here though, best I can. Basically, this eyeglass looking thing is a sensor that can tell when the water filter hook is damaged. It sends a logic signal up through the logic cord. Then this logic box thing does something. nothing. So whatever it just did translates the signal into the repair kit chucker. Once it's loaded up with repair kits, it'll receive the logic signal from the eyeglass, then chuck a repair kit at it, fully repairing the second it hits 0. These repair kit chuckers can store up to 20 repairs each, meaning that as long as I refill them before they run out of these 20 kits, I'll never need to worry about the water filter hooks again. A huge load off my shoulders. With that, my biggest obstacle had now been taken out, and from here I could just focus on my one true goal: maximizing production. While at the Ice Helm Forge, I had also made something called intake booster hooks. I can use these to hook onto my water intake pipe and increase the maximum water pressure it can pump out, which in turn nearly doubles the speed of everything on the assembly line. I can ensure that this is translated to every single pipe as well by using the shard bars I had managed to accumulate. It was time to install the rest of the iron drills we had sitting around now. For this expansion, I make the jump to the gold clotnium pipes, as they release half as much water pressure per pump than the regular water pipes I had been using. While I was at the store though, I picked up some alternate light sources for me to place around the mines and base just to make seeing a bit easier. After a good long while of setting everything up, I had finally done it. I had installed all 30 of my iron drills, and dear lord were they working, as literally a minute later I check on my gold production and realize that I made a gold bar weighing 61,000 pounds. I'd also been producing just so much onyx by this point, which makes sense given the amount of dirt I had been processing, so I set up a gem compressor for it as well. By this point, I had produced so much cloutnium, I should be more than able to forge a couple cloutnium drills, so it's time to start digging down into the tier 2 dirt. And seeing as I had played this game for like 24 hours so far, and nearly a quarter of that time was just dedicated to relentlessly digging, I tried to see if there was a faster way to clear out space for my next drill expansion. I discovered logic-powered TNT barrels, which I thought must be easier. So I bought a ton of them, hooked them up, and watched them explode.
Alright, let's test her. Oh, okay, I guess we won't. Okay, but let's test. Oh, okay. Okay, let's see how that works. Oh, I mean, it blew up a good amount. I thought it was going to be like, it's insane. I wouldn't call that insane. I would call that cool.
Yeah, TNT doesn't seem to nearly be worth the effort it is to set up, or even just to carry. So I push all of mine into a corner of my base, never to be seen again. So back to digging for me. I dig through like an extension of the conveyor belt over on the left-hand side, but it turns out that the tier 2 dirt is actually surprisingly small, and I'm able to reach its bottom after just a few minutes of digging. While setting up the new drill system was my main priority, there is a new side task I was going to need to incorporate into my everyday routine: quests. If you talk to the townsfolk around Hydroneer, they will occasionally give you little scrolls with requests for you to fulfill. They'll either be asking for a piece of ore, a gem, jewelry, or a weapon, and always require a very specific weight. Like this request asking for a ring made out of 35.5 pound gold bar and a 6.5 pound ruby. Completing these quests don't give you hydro coins, but instead a special currency called guild tokens. If you recall, that's what we'll need to use in order to purchase items in the shop with the tier 3 tools. Not only that, but there's also an achievement for earning 10,000 of these. Seeing as most of the quests I have give around 100 or less, we've got a lot of work to do, so it's best to start off early. Let's start with this first one, asking me for a 14.5 pound sapphire. Currently, my best strategy to make that is to take out the giant sapphire I'd been brewing in my gem condenser and cut it in half many times. Eventually, I get a combination of gems that weighs around 15.5 pounds, which of course is slightly over, but we don't really have a more exact way of cutting them down for now, and the villagers will always accept something that's a little over. I make a little brewing station over by the water source, compress the gem, and boom, first quest item created. Though I do need to remember to turn my gem compressor back on, as I definitely forgot this time and came back to just an absolute mess. I fill out a couple more requests, which are truly no problem now, as I brewed a gold bar of 150,000 pounds. While I'm able to make all the items, when I go to deliver them, I encounter an entirely different issue.
Here you go, buddy. How do I give this to you? Take. How do I give? Take it. Just go on and...
Something specific.
I have it. Here you go. Oh, that worked.
Thanks. I'm well chuffed.
Good. Thank you. I hope you're well chuffed forever.
After chuffing him, I fill out a few more requests.
Look at me, rolling in guild tokens. Now I've got 155. Let's go.
But after that, it was straight back to mining. Eventually, I've hollowed out so much that I can start placing stairs to traverse down there as well. Though carrying the stairs down there makes me realize just how annoying my current setup is to get around. I mean, every time I try to head back to where I'm digging that hole, I gotta do this weird shuffle across the conveyor belt. So I decide to go purchase some stone floors and finally fix this. What I end up doing is flattening out the areas on both sides of the conveyor belt and placing some stone floors on both. Then on either side of the belt, I place dual staircases connected by some half stone blocks. This goes right over the conveyor belt, so it doesn't impede it at all, while also making it significantly easier to cross. After flattening out the bottom of the tier 2 dirt, it was time to start expanding the pipe flow from the tier 1 setup down all the way to there. There's this giant unminable wall that sprouts out of the end where I'm trying to leave my pipe, so I have to get a little creative with the amount of curved pipes I use, but eventually I'm able to continue it. What's nice about setting up my tier 2 drills like this is that I can just expand the conveyor belts over from the tier 1 setup and still use the exact same systems otherwise. Then I can just expand the vertical conveyors down into the hole, and all we need to do now is forge those tier 2 drills. I even set up all the little pipes so I can just plop them straight in once I forge them. And luckily for me, I've got 8,000 cloutnium, and with each drill costing 1,000 of it, I should be able to get 7 drills up and running. I head to the Icehelm Forge, purchase the masterwork designs of all 3 tier 2 machines, and get to forging. Except while looking at the designs, I realized I had made a gigantic mistake.
Oh, you need 1,000 iron and 150. Oh, I think you needed 1,000 cloutnium. Oh, I could have got this way earlier.
Yeah, I definitely did not need nearly that many iron drills, and in hindsight, probably could have gotten just as many tier 2 drills as that up in that time. But as we're about to see, this may have been a blessing in disguise. I go back home and pick up my 400,000 pound iron bar, and while trying to forge it...
Ah! What the heck? What's this place? For sale? What is for sale here? What the heck?
Yeah, it turns out there's an entire mine property down here that you're able to purchase and use.
All right, let's make the harvester first, which I definitely forgot to account for in my build, but you know what? Let's make it anyway.
In order to forge my cloutnium drills, I need to grab my 2 bars from down below, individually bring up each one, pull the lever, and then move my drill off the anvil. But that's when I get an idea. I wonder if I just leave the drill up here, will the anvil still be able to make another one? That would save me tons of time in moving each individual one. I try it out, and boom, it works perfectly. This shaves off tons of time in me having to move every individual drill. However, when I go to move the drills...
Uh-oh. That's not good. Oh no, my game. Oh no, my game. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my god. What's going on? Holy crap. Oh my god. How many drills were there? It's despawning the whole world. All I wanted to do is pick up a drill. Oh, this is just the reality that I'm in right now. I thought this was gonna like stop for a second. Oh. Okay, I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson. Go. Oh my god. This is pure pain. How many drills did I make? I wasn't paying attention. Oh, and now we're just straight up frozen. Is it over for us, guys? Just a couple drills did this? I mean, it's gotta come back. I'm just gonna wait. Look at this. Look at this. I've got a strong computer, too. I have 96% of my freaking memory right now. Oh my god, my RAM. My poor RAM. Maybe if I close out this Google Chrome tab. I'm processing like 50 bajillion gold right now. 6 cloutnium. And then my OS crashed, and I had to restart my computer. Upon re-entering the game, Hydroneer had reverted me to a state where there were slightly less drills on the anvil. You see, the problem was that there were so many drills massed together, the game was trying to calculate the collision data for each individual one. And since there was like 20 in there, it completely broke my computer. This time my computer slows down just a little, and I can even try and quickly send the drill up the chute to get it out of the room. Oh yeah, something that I discovered is that this chute right here sends everything up to the surface for you. Something that could have single-handedly saved me hours of gameplay that I will never get back for my life. Brilliant as always, Shawnee. Oh. They're here now. Oh, okay. Oh, alright. They're just kind of... Oh my goodness. Okay. We gotta stop this.
After printing all my new drills, I head back up to the surface and...
Oh my god.
I load all my drills into the back of my truck and head home. First up was to install the new harvester. And since the tier 2 harvesters also process tier 1 dirt, I can just replace the old one with the new one. Though this is slightly more complicated than you might expect, as the pipe location and gem output spot are in completely different spots than the iron harvester. So I have to slightly redo the output location of the harvester, but nothing major at all. The same could not be said for the cloutnium drills though.
Wait, what?
Yes, the layout of the cloutnium drills could not be more different than the iron ones we're used to. In fact, the pipe output is all the way on the top for whatever reason. This makes placing them together actually impossible. Now, I'm sure that there's some highly optimized format that you can place these in to maximize the space they take up, but there is absolutely no way I'm going to be doing that. Sorry. Instead, I just slap a space between each drill and connect them with these curved pipes. Now, this setup takes a lot more space than the last one, quite literally double, but it's worth it to not spend 5 hours looking at pipe orientations. Because of this complicatedness, I decided to go with much less cloutnium drills than I thought I would. After setting up just a few, I start their production, and before I let their dirt get too far, I monitor it. Why am I monitoring the dirt, you ask? Well, because inside is a completely new resource, corestone. Corestone is the rarest ore type in Hydroneer, to the point that I have never even mined up a single node of it. And so it was time to create another sorting setup into a smelter for corestone to fall into. Kind of messed with the whole symmetry thing I had going on, but the other option was to literally redo my entire base setup, and there was no way in heck I was doing that. Because of the inherent complicatedness of the cloutnium drills though, I end up going with a much smaller setup of just 10 drills. I figure that's all I'll need to get the job done. And boy was I right, as just a few minutes after these being set up...
Oh, what happened here? What the heck happened here? Uh-oh. 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 What happened here? Ah, no. Okay.
The heck is going on? Ah! Stop everything!
I end up smacking the off switch and just manually placing them all into my cauldron. After about 10 minutes of sorting, the issue had been solved and I can turn the assembly line back on.
Oh no, it's happening again. I forgot to turn the treadmill back on. Oh god. Oh my god, I'm a moron.
After cleaning up all the gold ore again, I could turn the water back on. With the factory working and the tier 2 setup now finalized, I had some downtime to work on some quests. After banging out a couple easy ones just asking for low weight gold bars, I had racked up 417 guild tokens. This gives me enough to buy a couple task boards to display quest scrolls, but the real reason I'm here is for the logic saw hook. This is going to make my questing life monumentally easier, as it can cut resources down to specific input sizes, so no longer just having to do guesswork with the saw. For this setup though, I need to pick up some conveyor belts as well as some stone floors, as this is going to take a good amount of space up, so we'll need room. I also put down these little stone walls just to make it a little bit more like an official base. Now to set this up, I need to make a little jut out from my pipe that goes down into my factory, and then carry the water all the way to the edge of my base. I'm also going to need a couple logic wires for this one. If I connect the saw hook to the keypad right here, I can input whatever my desired weight is, and the hook will spit out a bar with that exact weight here on the left side. And for the right side, I make this little wraparound conveyor belt so that the excess bar is placed right next to me for convenience. This took me maybe like 10 minutes to build, but ends up being like the single most useful tool in my entire setup. I seriously ended up using this thing like 200 times in the playthrough. I also set up these task board right next to the saw so I can reference them while I slice. I bang out some real easy quests for some tokens, but all of them become irrelevant after I give this 200-pound gold dagger to the guard, as not only does he give me tokens, but he also allows me admittance into the castle behind him.
Whoa, he let me in? What the heck? Whoa. Oh my god. That's gonna give me 4,000? Okay, I guess I gotta take that. That's gonna give me 18,000? Dear lord. Okay, I gotta do that.
Yeah, there are two quests that make the 10,000 token achievements manageable. The one for prospect tokens gives you 18,000, meaning it's the only quest that I need to do for the rest of the game. The farming one's a bit more involved and not nearly as easy, but I'm gonna put off farming in this game for as long as I can. This prospect token quest simply requires 5,000 iron, 1,000 gold, which are both more than doable, and finally 400 core stone, which I wasn't sure if I would have mined up enough by this point, but luckily for me, I had forged over 1,800 by this point. I sliced that down to a 400-pound bar, and then forge the requested sword. I hand it over to the castle guard and get my 18,000 tokens, meaning I never have to do another ore-related quest again. With that, I had conquered the main hurdle of Hydroneer, the mining, and it was time to start all of the achievement hunting. I used my mountains of wealth to purchase the remaining vehicles, and then all of the other mining plots that I promised to use and never did. Also, while purchasing the Ice Helm mining spot, I make sure to hop into the lava and earn the Touch Lava achievement. Now is probably a good time to mention the fact that I'm not going to be covering any of the achievements in the Journey to Volcandius DLC, because it's like basically an entirely separate game. It's possible if this video gets a lot of love though, I'll do a sequel video on it. So let me know if you'd want that down in the comments below. So with the exception of the occasional odd and end achievement, there are three major groups of achievements we have left to conquer: farming, fishing, and relics. And the longest of those is definitely farming. Like, we have so much farming left to do. Like, call us the Cozy Game release schedule, because this is about to become dominated by farming. And in order to start farming, first I'm gonna need some space. So I take my newly purchased hydro roller and flatten out all the ground surrounding my base to make it easier to build on. Honestly, doing this made me wish I had done this for my actual base, since it just looks so much nicer, but hindsight is 20/20, I guess. Now, the plants we're looking to grow are broccoli and red beets, but unfortunately they can only be purchased with tokens. And of course, it would be way too convenient if they were the same as the prospect tokens, but rather these need to be purchased with a separate type of token called farm tokens. So with our entirely useless hydro coins, the only thing we can buy are some basic farming tools, a seed mill, a cooking pot, and exclusively tomato and carrot seeds. I buy a lot of tomato seeds, like a lot, like oh my god, that's enough tomatoes. I also want to set up a farming area, so I grab these cottage looking floors to fit the more natural vibes that I'm going for. I take a page out of my grounded training and use the cottage roofs as staircases from the main part of my base. I place down some floors along with my stove, a scale, and my cooking pot. I use the trowel to place down some plant holes for my tomatoes before realizing I should probably figure out how I'm going to be watering these things first. Place down a water intake pipe by the lake, and place pipes to carry the water all the way to my farming section. Also, to make additional space for this section, it's time to dispose of all the items lying around my farm and bring them to the Pang Clang brothers in the scrapyard. It's a little heartbreaking to get rid of all those cloutinium drills I worked so hard to earn and nearly destroyed the very fabric of this game, but it's a necessary sacrifice. Then I go over to the side, slap the scrap button, and boom. Gone forever, just like my chances of being considered my mom's favorite child once I told her I play video games on the internet for a living. This earns me 2 achievements, one for scrapping anything and another for scrapping 100 items. Back to my base though, and I've run the pipes all the way to the farming section. I don't really have any good way of watering my crops from the pipe though, so I decide to just leave the pipe open and dripping onto the ground, and then place
place my crop holes directly under where the water falls. For my first batch of crops, I placed down some tomatoes, as I've seen that like 90% of all farming requests involve tomatoes for whatever reason. And after about 10 minutes of waiting, my first batch has sprouted.
Tomatoes. We got our first tomatoes. Tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. We just got some tomatoes.
I can use these tomatoes to complete my first ever soup order. Basically, you just need to put some water in the cooking pot, let it heat up, cut up the tomatoes with the cleaver, and then add a certain weight of tomatoes to the mix. Once the concoction is complete, you can pick up your smoldering hot cooking pot and pour it into the soup bowl. Before handing those quests in, I expand my pipe drip farm with tons more tea pipes so I can grow way more crops and never have to worry about watering again. While those grow, I deliver out the quest I finished where the lovely townsfolk will take the soup you give them, drink the entire thing in 2 seconds, and then throw the clay bowl back onto the ground. The people who live here are truly disgusting cretins that God has abandoned, and I'd like to leave as soon as I can.
Yeah, have some scram. But please, Finn, don't just throw your... Oh my god. People are just so rude.
Despite their rudeness, I'm gonna have to gather up a few more tokens before I can afford my broccoli and beetroot, so we've got tons more requests to fulfill. I continue expanding my drip farm until I've got like 30 plants being watered at once. Now, the next efficiency hack I implement is to use a magnet on a stick to gather up all the vegetables once they're grown. However, this system is a bit tedious, so I start brainstorming ways to make it a bit more efficient. But while I was out delivering more soup, something strange starts happening.
Why am I lagging all of a sudden? Uh-oh. That's not good. Something's happening, and it's not good. I gotta get back to base. Something bad is happening over there. My theory is that the gold is not going into the cauldron. Oh my word. The gems seem fine. Oh, there she is. Just gotta get over to the valve hook. That should help significantly. Woo! Oh my god, I can actually see again. Oh boy, iron. What happened here?
After 10 minutes straight of sorting iron and not even making a dent, I decide to try and use the magnet to simplify the process.
Uh-oh. Oh, that was a bad idea. Oh. 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 Oh, no. That was a huge mistake. Look at all this iron. Oh, my God. It's everywhere. Oh, my God.
I try for the next 20 minutes to sort out the wreckage on my magnet experiment, but eventually...
What the hell? Why did my game crash?
In my eyes, crashing the game is kind of like a rite of passage in the Hydroneer community. When I get back to the game though, my only option to not play the rest of the game in like 6 frames per second is just to use the despawn all resources button. This got rid of a ton of the ore on my assembly line, but like, what do I even need ore for anymore? Speaking of, after despawning all the natural resources, I realized how much quicker my gain was running, so I decided to try and put all my mining operations to bed once and for all, and earn the final ore-related achievement, earn 100,000 Hydro coins on the stock market. But I was gonna go far beyond that and create the most valuable, absurd necklace I could possibly own. I cut down a 400,000 weight iron bar, a 500,000 weight gold bar, and then finish it off with a 1,000 pound onyx. These were definitely slightly conservative cuts, considering how many resources I actually had at my disposal, but I had this fear in the back of my mind that I was gonna need iron and gold and feel like a fool for spending my life savings on the stock market, or as I like to call it, the crypto investor.
Now, there's only one place a proper piece like this can be sold. Only one place I can think of. On the stock market. Bet it all, baby. Where's the necklace stock market? Ah, the necklace stock market. And it's at 107%. 19 million. Go. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, that's definitely at least 100,000. That's definitely at least 100,000. I don't think I'll be running out of gold the rest of the playthrough. I am freaking loaded, man. Holy crap.
With my finances now officially sorted for the rest of the game, I had enough capital to start building my automated farming setup. First up, I was gonna need some logic lamps, as plants don't actually grow during the night since there's no sun. Without logic lamps, it halves the growth rate of all crops planted. Next up, I grabbed some logic magnets. These are like magnets on a stick, except they can be turned on and off using logic. So by using them, I should be able to auto-pick any vegetables in the area. Then by triggering the magnets again, I can make them drop whatever they've picked up. There are further improvements to make here, but for now, I had accumulated enough tokens to purchase myself a beetroot seed from the farming store. And I truly mean a beetroot seed, since you only get one single seed that I then plant into the ground. With that growing, it was time to hollow out a little tunnel in the space I left between the magnets and the plants. After flattening all that out, I can place conveyor belts inside. This creates a system where the magnets grab vegetables from the plants. Then, since I've connected them all with the same logic, if I turn off the magnets, all the vegetables will drop down in front of them onto the moving conveyor belt. Then the conveyor belt brings all my precious resources straight to me. There's some quirks to it, but this system makes farming way easier. In the time it took me to set that all up, I had grown my first beetroot. I can then throw this into the seed mill, and out pops more beetroot seeds. Since there's no real sustainable way to continue purchasing seeds other than carrots and tomatoes, this is the process you need to go through for each and every plant you want to continue farming. This makes it a fun little management game of how many vegetables can you turn into seeds and how many do you want to save for quests. quests. It takes me a while to finish the full setup, but once I do, it makes farming much easier to manage, and while my vegetables grow, I can start focusing on the other achievements I need to knock out, like destroy 5,000 items in a logic destroyer. I don't know if there's like a natural or intended way to do this, like if some machine I don't know about makes some sort of waste product you need to dispose of, but I just throw the destroyer where my gold usually funnels down to, turn on my assembly line, and get the achievement in no time. Next up is the boing achievement, where you need to sit in a truck and hold W and space at the same time.
W and spacebar for some seconds. Holding it. Oh my god! Holy crap, that scared the ever-living hell out of me. Oh my god, okay.
I've completed enough quests now that I can afford my first broccoli seed, the final piece of the puzzle I need to complete the 4,000 token request, as the beats have started to come in like crazy. But with that pretty much sorting itself out, it was time to focus on the final major aspect of this playthrough, fishing. Now, honestly, there's not much to fishing in this game, so I don't really have much to say. Basically, the goal is to earn the Master Baiter achievement by earning the Master Rod, but in order to do that, you need to complete a series of quests that involve catching a bunch of fish. Each time you turn in a fish, you get an upgraded rod. Each rod has like a 2% chance of catching the next fish. As for the actual fishing mechanic, the bobber shakes and then you gotta pull the line up. That's it. That's the whole minigame. So yeah, we're not gonna really touch more on this. Eventually, I've completed so many farming requests that I have enough guild tokens to buy 2 machines that massively optimize the farming process. The first is the veg slicer hook. You hook it onto a conveyor belt and it automatically slices vegetables up for you, which is a huge load off as I was getting massively tired of slicing down those huge batches. The second is the cut veg stacker, and this one will automatically combine any cut vegetables thrown into it. Using these two along with some sorting conveyor belts takes up pretty much any work that farming had left, as all the vegetables just get brought straight to me, ready to be sliced up for quests. With that all set up, it was just a couple more hours of farming and fishing. Eventually, I get enough beets and broccoli to finish the guard's quest. This not only gives me 4,000 tokens, but also access to the next level of the castle, where a guard wants a 1.5 pound shark. Apparently, this is one of the hardest grinds in the entire game, but luckily for me, there are no achievements of any kind tied to this. So thankfully, I don't have to do it. For those curious though, if you hand him the shark, you gain access to the king, who gives you a rod that makes dirt. We're really glad I did not bother with this. With pretty much everything else now completed, the last thing I need to do is collect 4 relics. And across each of the properties you can buy are these special relics. They're always in the same exact place, so really it's just a matter of looking up their location and then digging to them. This takes me about 3 hours to do in total. Then I just have to place them on these pedestals hidden near Ember's cradle. Upon doing that...
Yes! Whoa! What's in here? It's just a treasure chest? That's what I get? Does it like sell for a lot of money? Okay. I mean, sure. 70,000? I have a farm that makes me 19 million without a second thought. I can't believe that was my reward, honestly. Kind of underwhelming.
The only thing left to do now is to hand in some more farming requests until I've earned my 10,000th farming guild token. Using my bag of riches, I can buy myself the hydro cropper, earning me the final achievement in Hydroneer. So what did I think? This game was actually a ton of fun, but I didn't love the achievement hunting process. The farming and fishing mechanics just kind of felt tacked on, while the mining was super fleshed out. I honestly wish there were more achievements that asked you to like sell something or go for like 100 million hydro coins or whatever. Still an absolute blast, and made my brain go burr when number get big. The link to the game on Steam is in the description as always. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!